Sup nerds, I'm Wes.
I'm Tom.
Today in Fossilis we're going to be digging up dino bones and pushing some dirt around and dino stuff.
Yeah. I actually totally thought this game was called Fossils at first. But
Yeah.
there's an extra I in there. Fossilis, whatever. This is an ultimately like point salad-y kind of game where you're gaining resources and spending them to gain points. It's pretty straightforward in that regard. But the set piece, or it's not really a gimmick. This is pretty functional. Is you have this dig site thing here with all these tiles on them, and I did not put these tiles on in the correct way. But like you're supposed to push these things over, which reveals,
that was a very illegal push, but
yeah. Well, you kind of can't even see it there. Can you see it here if I push on the front? Yeah. Okay. You push on the front. Yeah. And you reveal these holes here, where you've got you get these tweezers, and you get these little dinosaur bones, and you pull them out. And it looks kind of like Operation, but the dexterity of this and like finding the bones isn't really a big part of it. Like, you can always look in there and see exactly which bone you're looking at and which one you're going to get.
The tweezers are more of like a functionality thing because like sticking my fat fingers in there, I'm not going to be able to grab it. So
right.
Tweezers let you. Now to do that, you do need plaster. So I guess that's kind of thematic and accurate to, like, they're not actually bones that are in a lot of things. It's plaster castings of the bones.
I've seen Jurassic Park. That's not true.
But that's also the timer of the game, because as these cubes deplete, when these cubes are based on the number of players in the game, that's going to trigger events, and then once you get through the 3 events and the 3 like supplies of these cubes, then the game's over.
Right, and those are like the main resource because you're going to be using those to get these bones. You use these bones to complete the dinosaurs, and these are huge points. When you push off these tiles, these are also resources. They have resources on them that you can use to buy supplies and tools, which are good. They're helpful in the game. They're something you're probably going to need, and there's a couple little points, and a lot of supplies will give you plaster, so I'm not discounting these, but these are more the secondary resource.
Yeah. Now there is this like fight and struggle on this board for like all the people are on here and you're running around and like you can push each other off when you're digging things up and you're trying to uncover bones, and maybe like there's a bone over there and I have to try to run over and get it real quick before you do. That definitely is something that would show up more in a bigger player game. Mm-hmm. Like 2 players, there wasn't that much competition. And the other thing with this is the way that you set it up, you have this like little lid, so you kind of scatter the dinosaur bones out fairly evenly, and then you put the lid on and like shake it up to randomize it. That can lead to very, like, if you have just a ton of empty slots, which we have had, it just didn't work very well, because like I uncovered 2 jackpots with tons and tons of bone first turn, and Tom spent half the game running around digging up nothing. Mm-hmm. So like the whole game for me was me just sitting there like, grab plaster, grab bones, grab plaster, grab bones.
Yeah, and also the first thing you did was pick up a hammer, which gave you a special ability, which was get plaster faster.
Yeah.
Rhyming. But yeah, so it's a very interesting game, and mechanically speaking, it's pretty straightforward of gaining resources by pushing these off and gaining the plaster and picking these up, right? And then spending them on these cards. And there's a little bit of a point salad-y thing in that, there's these other things that you can get which have points on them. These cards will have points at the bottom for putting the bones, but then they have these symbols in the corner where if you get 3 of the same symbol, you get points. If you have the most of one symbol, then you get points. And if you have all of the symbols, you get points. And the biggest flaw is, again, what Wes said about the distribution, because there's too much random here for all of the intricacies and points and stuff out here to really work and make sense. Now, I think, again, it's mostly like we had a bad game, and there's definitely other games that will go better. And like if you had a third party, somebody who isn't playing, who can look and distribute these and make sure they're nice and even and stuff, yeah, that would be better. It's a weird ask. It's a weird thing to need to have. But again, there's too much random here. That's just like the base. This is like the foundation of the game. Yeah. Too much random for all of the varying and huge number of points here.
We were saying that you could have a perfect game where you shake it and randomly, like, the monkeys write out the Constitution on their typewriters.
Yeah.
Like, that could happen, in which case I think this game would really shine because it is fun. Like, this is a fun centerpiece to the game. And the thematics of, like, you're digging things up and you're sliding these, and you can hypothetically, like, if a dude is here and this guy pushes, like, I knocked you off the whole thing. Like, that's really fun. But if you get a bad distribution of bones, it could just go really poorly for some people because they spend most of the game digging and digging and digging and just finding nothing.
Yeah, it's a could happen. It's also a did happen.
Yeah.
But it's a could happen. That's a pretty big problem. And it's a problem you don't realize until like halfway through the game. Now, this is kids' table board games. A lot of their games are geared towards kids, or at least, trying to include kids. So there are rules in the game where you can remove certain aspects to make it better to play with kids. Now, Wes's kids are like 4 and 5 and 3. Is one of them
Sure.
4? Oh, wait, how old are your kids?
1, 3, and 5.
1, 3, and 5. Okay, so for them, this would be more of a toy. We just push things around and pull out the dinosaurs, and hey, look at all these cool bones. It's cool, right? For them, it's more of a toy. The brother who I live closer to now, his kids are 7 and 10, so that's a different story. This is more of a game we can play with them, probably removing some of the rules, but sure, it's there, and in that case, the balance, I would almost say, matters a little less, because, yeah, for younger kids, I mean, of course, kids get really mad when things aren't fair, but it's more of a toy than it is like a game, and then mathing out all of the points over here and all that kind of stuff.
I would also say if you're playing with younger kids, you can randomize, you can, put them all in there, shake it up, and, peek, and be like, oh, that didn't work, let me try it again, and, make sure it's distributed for them, because I feel like when you're playing with kids that age, you're playing more to play with them than to play against them.
Yeah,
They may be super competitive, and you may get competitive in your gaming, because, my family game nights when I was growing up, we're not allowed to play Monopoly. You can control that distribution a little bit more, so you don't have that one kid that just, gets screwed and hates it.
Yeah.
And I think for that age, they're going to have a ton of fun moving the tiles and digging up dinosaur bones, picking up the tweezers and all of that.
Yeah, so this is a phenomenal game with a huge flaw. Yeah, I really like the set piece, and I even think, mechanically, all the other things, when I was reading the rules, it's oh, that all sounds cool, it's gonna work really well. Just one thing that doesn't work.
Yeah, and I would completely agree with that. Really enjoyed the game, brought some really cool mechanics, love the centerpiece, as long as it works out right.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, I don't know if you said it on camera already, the set collecting of the symbols on the dinosaurs, it was very much an afterthought for me. I'd check every once in a while and be like, oh, I guess I could get that one because that would get me a third one of these. But that, I feel like if somebody went really, focused on that, they could get tons and tons of points. And it wasn't that I couldn't do it, I just didn't really want to. I don't want the purpose of the game to be I want to go over this dinosaur to get these symbols to get this combo.
With all the, the fun is over here. I don't want to look at 9 different symbols and try and count out and stuff.
I would almost rather those just don't exist and you just went for the points in the dinosaurs.
Yeah, which is, I'm certain, something you can do. But also, the fact that some of these are really small points and some of them are really big points, you could get a bunch of really big point out there and then you don't complete a lot of dinosaurs because the game can run out kind of fast on you, especially if somebody's pulling plaster like crazy, because that's the timer in the game. So also it could be just whatever I happen to get. I got 2 dinosaurs, so if I happen to have more of this symbol than you do, great. If not, whatever.
Well, you can complete a dinosaur at any time. Even if you don't finish it, you can complete it just to get the symbols on it.
Right, but you could, right. The way you overcome the flaw in the game is get less points per dinosaur.
Yeah. That's fair. But yeah, so that one flaw notwithstanding, there are ways I feel like you can counter it, especially if playing with your kids. If that all sounds great to you, you can click on the purchase link down in the description box to check it out.
Yeah, this game is recommended with an asterisk. Absolutely. Also down there is going to be a link for Game Toppers.
Asterisk on Game Toppers.
No, asterisk on Game Toppers. Yeah, because they're
good.
Awesome. You'd see the little asterisk, you're like, oh, I wonder what this footnote says. It says, awesome! That was dumb. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to cut that part. I'm going to cut most of this.
Either way, guys, make sure you subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored. So if that all sounds like something you want to check out, there will be a purchase link down there below where you can check it out.
Okay, we're going to do that again.